Hey, let's talk about the story of the day, shall we?
What would that be?
Jerome Boger betting on games.
This guy's fixing games.
Whoa. That's a very serious allegation. Obviously, the Atlanta Falcons offense was non-existent for a large portion of that game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers yesterday. Tom missed some days last week. There's obviously a bunch of divorce rumors circling and speculating, and his life seems to be in shambles. And Todd Bowles missed practice on Wednesday because of personal reasons, and I just assumed it'd be impossible to win a game in the NFL when your fucking guys aren't going to work. You know what I mean? Like, that seems like a tough thing to do. It's already hard enough to win in the NFL. Now that your quarterback isn't around sometimes, your coach isn't around, that's added distractions that nobody wants. Playing against a scrappy Atlanta Falcons team, I thought that was going to be a tough game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, I do believe the Falcons covered, which I appreciate them, and they're also part of the Super Boost in which Tone hit. Thank you, Tone. But the play that everybody's talking about is Jerome Boger at the end of this thing in the fourth quarter calling an unnecessary roughness against quarterback from Grady Jarrett, which is absolute malarkey and bullshit. Basically won the game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because the Atlanta Falcons offense was rolling at the end. The Bucs wouldn't have been able to get a stop. So let's break down this play from a different angle with old Patty Piero. Now you can see here they're running a overload against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is massive for the setup of the stunt that they're about to do, because right now these three guys think that they have to take care of these three guys. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they're going to run a goddamn end nose tackle around stunt, okay? Let this thing run. Boom. Now all of a sudden, Hainsey, the rookie center, in lieu of Ryan Jensen, who tore his ACL in training camp, picks up the nose tackle as he's going there. The backside guard understands with the stunt, he now has the tackle. But en contraire, Mon-Fri, says Grady Jarrett, who then ends up with a E.T. stunt with the end going in to set a pick, and Jarrett finishing this four-man game, ending up all the way on the outside with the guard being left in no man's land with these two people about to take his ass out. Absolutely perfectly executed four-man game in the fourth quarter on third down with your best guy getting a wide open shot on the greatest quarterback of all time. Can't stress enough how incredible that whole shit was from the D-line right there, AJ. Absolutely perfectly executed.
For Grady Jackson, he starts out all the way on the other side of the center to loop all the way back around. To think these guys can pass it off, yeah, like they could, but that's a lot to put on them in the moment to pass that off completely.
This guy right here knew what he was doing when he spun inside. Literally just a sacrifice. This is like a sacrifice bunt. This is just hey, I am here to eat bodies to make sure that this guard right here cannot get back to Grady Jarrett. He ends up wide open on the quarterback, hits in the strike zone, wraps him up around the waist, around the hips. He then falls and throws Tom Brady. Dahn, once again, they're down 6, fourth quarter. Offense has scored recently, about to get the ball back. Best player on their defense just executed the best four-man game of the season thus far. All happening on purpose. And then all of a sudden, Jerome Boger, 1 week removed from the bullshit roughing the passer call he made in the Ravens-Bills game from 1 week before, in which the Bills went on to win because of it, does the same damn thing, and Tampa and Tom are able to remain on the field and run out the goddamn clock. There ain't nothing else Grady Jarrett could have done here. This is a perfectly executed tackle. He could have won a lot harder with how wide open he was. He kind of took it easy on Tom. Tom went out publicly and said, I don't throw the flags. He didn't think it was a call. We got the win. Let's move on. But if you're the Falcons, Grady Jarrett, and everybody else over there, you have to be fucking furious. Arthur Smith hasn't left his couch in the facility because of this. And Jerome Boger now, 2 weeks in a row, making calls that are judgment calls that are winning games for people, needs to be investigated and talked to just a little bit. Here was from 1 week ago. We all remember this. Fourth quarter, 2 minutes left in the game, 1st and 15. He calls roughing the passer on this flop from Josh Allen, in which the helmet was in the chest. The hit seemed to be perfect. They pick up a first down, go on to win the game with a field goal from Tyler Bass. Stephon
That's
Diggs.
a terrible call. That's horrendous call right there. Like, I almost forgot about that one because of this one.
That's 1 week ago. These are both judgment calls in which this guy right here deems something egregious and gets a win for a team, basically.
Tie game 2 minutes ago.
And those aren't the first 2 times that he's done that either. He's criminal.
He's fixing games, damn it.
Well, that's a huge allegation, but it is worthy of at least talking about whenever shit like that is happening. Somebody else mentioned that his crew was actually taken out of the playoffs last year because of some other fuckery. It's like, hey, the NFL refs this season have seemed to be much better, but whenever something like that happens in which it's a judgment call, it's hard not to just be like, what's this all about?
Yeah.
The abusive language with the Chiefs and Colts thing, which we ended up being on the right side of, so I appreciate the call. But it wasn't Boger, but it's still like that's a judgment call in which they're deciding the game. Can't have it, AJ. Just can't fucking have it. And everybody now, well, that's what happens when you're Tom Brady. Tom Brady gets those calls. Other people don't. I don't know if that's the case, but I do know there's some fuckery. And if I was the Falcons, after a perfectly executed stunt to get to the quarterback, and then that happens, it's like, come on. You know, it's a bunch of bullshit.
I remember watching it live. I was like, "Oh, Grady Jarrett can absolutely slam Tom on his head." Like I thought he was going to. I really did, and I was like, "Oh, don't get a roughing the passer," because he could have like suplexed the dude, boom, slammed him, and he didn't. You could tell Grady even didn't want to land on him when he was rolling and kind of try to pop up as Tom tried to kick him in the ding ding. I know Greeny said earlier today on Get Up, but the whole situation, it's infuriating. Everyone's mad though.
What he tried to Greeny say? He tried to kick him in the ding ding.
Yeah, did you run that last? If you run their end of it, you can see he claimed that Tom tried to kick him right in the ding ding.
Is that what Greeny said? He said on Get Up that Tom tried to kick him in the ding ding?
Yeah, Dane loved it. Yeah.
Of course.
Dane was the one that told him that. I called Dick's ding dings.
For sure. Genius, Dan.
That's probably what old Dano did. Did you see Dano on the teleprompter before the play? That was awesome.
It was.
I don't think so.
Great call.
Which one?
He was red zone,
Oh, yeah.
Tennessee, with Hooker and them. They shift into something and make her, and guys one-on-one, and Dan, before the play is snapped, goes to the teleprompter and goes, bam, bam, runs the exact route, touchdown. It's like, then Dan didn't say anything afterwards. They said nothing afterwards, and then they go to commercial, and it's like, didn't want to fuck up anything afterwards.
Yeah.
I don't know, did we see what just happened there? Did we see what just happened there? Dan's crushing it, but I hope he doesn't get kicked in a ding-ding by the internet for anything it does going forward.
Seems like this stuff with Boger, too, like we talked about it last year, where like just because this guy's been reffing for like 20-plus years, like doesn't mean that he's a good ref. And doesn't mean that a lot of these crews, I think guys are third and fourth year refs, but it seems like they keep sending him out there because he's the elder statesman. It's like, hey, maybe this guy just isn't very good anymore. Like, and that's okay. Like just because he's been around and he's been doing it for 15 to 20 years, like, doesn't mean that he should be out there, because he is. He's single-handedly, affecting the outcomes of games.
Yeah, any judgment call is going to have that. With a lot of power comes a lot of responsibility, and it feels like Jerome Boger is abusing his responsibility in a couple big-time situations. Let's see if he can get that fixed.